we'll find our way through this current churn. And one thing I know is we won't take our eye off the mission. We won't hesitate, flinch, or blink even for a second, because everyone here knows that our nation's most precious resource, our sons and daughters, our warfighters, they're counting on us, right? And you when we get out and walk and talk on the floor, people know that. They know that there's someone on the other end counting on what we do.
Hello and welcome to Tinker Talks, the audio format podcast that talks about everything inside the fence of Tinker Air Force Base. I am April McDonald, your host for this episode, and today I'm thrilled to be joined by Major General Jeff King, commander of the Oklahoma City Air Logistics Complex. Welcome to the podcast, sir.
April, thanks so much. I'm really excited to talk about Oklahoma City Air Logistics Complex and, more importantly, our people.
Yes, thank you so much. So would you, before we get started about the people, describe your background as a military officer and how your experience informs your decision-making today?
Yeah, you bet. I'm a career aircraft maintainer, and I've had the opportunity to do some career broadening into acquisitions, and later served in the Pentagon as a budget builder for the Air Force's maintenance and logistics programs. Along the way, I got a little experience working congressional efforts in the Pentagon as well. And prior to coming to Oklahoma City Air Logistics Complex, all my experience was in the field. So as you can imagine, I've had much to learn about depot maintenance, depot operations, funding, supply chain management, and really the linkages with the program offices and the lead commands. But really, there's at least one commonality between the depot and the field. And that's at the heart of any maintenance organization, is our technicians, our industrial artisans. And they require training, tools, tech data material, and manpower to do the job right. We spend a whole lot of time working on those issues. And I've got a great team that I work with to get after it. I will say that along the way, you asked about how my experience affects decision-making. Along the way, I've learned a lot about the power of data-driven decisions. But those are best made when they're strongly influenced, if you will, by the experience of seasoned professionals. And thankfully, we're surrounded with 10,000, 500 or 600 here in the complex. It's interesting, though. I found that the higher you go, the more consequential are the decisions. The less you have control over the second and third order effects or control over the resources you need to execute. So developing solid feedback loops up, down, and across the chain is absolutely essential. And the ability to collaborate, communicate, and negotiate are absolutely paramount to working at this level in this kind of an organization.
Right. Back when you were in Air Force ROTC, did you ever imagine rising to the rank of Major General?
No way. When I was a youngster, I just wanted to fly jets. That was my dream when I was a kid. And that didn't pan out for me. So through ROTC, I just realized I wanted to be as close to mission as possible. So I requested aircraft maintenance for a career field. I got it, and I quickly bonded with both the career field and the people doing the work. And frankly, I've never looked back. I love what I do and the people doing it. We've got a great mission, and we work for a great company, United States Air Force. To be honest, I just hoped to make colonel in my career. I wanted to be a maintenance group commander, be able to, influence that enterprise at the field level with a combat maintenance group, and I was fortunate to reach that goal. Really, really fortunate. Everything since is something I call kind of an unexpected journey. It's amazing how 28 years have flown by, and I'm thankful to serve a little bit longer.
Yes, time just goes so fast. It's crazy. So can you tell us a little bit about the mission of the OC-ALC and how it fits into the Air Force Sustainment Center?
Absolutely. Oklahoma City Air Logistics Complex is one of 3 ALCs under the Air Force Sustainment Center, which also oversees 2 supply chain wings and 3 airbase wings. And those airbase wings are what we call the power projection platforms for our 3 depots and scores of mission partners alike. Here is the 552 Air Control Wing, or the AWACS wing. In short, AFSC produces readiness for our Air Force and the nation. It's an awesome mission, and we're the ones that generate that for the United States Air Force. Like the other 2 ALCs, Oak City is responsible for conducting programmed and unscheduled depot maintenance on aircraft, repairing commodities, or what we call exchangeable parts, and the development of sustainment of software for aircraft and support equipment alike. It's a pretty cool portfolio. Specifically, Oak City performs depot-level maintenance on B-52s, B-1s, KC-135s, E-3s, KC-46s, and Navy E-6 aircraft. We repair component parts for those aircraft and about every other airframe in the Air Force inventory. So we're really an essential part of the supply chain. The parts we produce feed our depot lines and the warfighters in the field. And then, of course, we do maintenance, repair, and overhaul on those airframes. We are unique between the three ALCs in that Oak City is the engine repair center of excellence for the Air Force. We overhaul the vast majority of engines, and we test and repair more than a dozen types. Actually, it's a big workload for us, and that's what everyone relies upon us for beyond the airframe work. So, an interesting thing is it takes all three ALCs to produce an aircraft at any one. Right? It's not a competition. It's a cooperation. For example, we get actuators and generators from Ogden, and electronic components and, say, aircraft oxygen bottles from Warner Robins. And they get engines, constant speed drives, and oxygen regulators from Oak City. And that's just to name a few. So constant exchange of parts to produce air power. That's how the three ALCs work together. We are the largest with about 10,500 or 600 employees right now. And in fact, we're the largest maintenance, repair, and overhaul facility in the world, not just the Department of Defense, but the world. For example, Ogden is number 2. Delta Tech Ops, Delta's maintenance, repair, and overhaul facility is number 3.
Wow.
Right? So it's a big team, and it's something I think our people can be proud of.
It's a huge mission, for sure. The Air Force is looking to retire many older airframes, continue the service life of others for another 30 to 50 years, and procure new platforms to modernize the force. What challenges does this scenario present to the sustainment community, and what are you doing to combat them?
So this is a really great topic, and I think in this part one of our talk here, I'll just touch on it a little bit because I think we can spend a whole lot of time talking about all the incredible things that this complex is doing to get after that challenge that you identified. Frankly, when you talk about older airframes, newer airframes, and then sustaining that midlife for a long time, I term our problem as geriatrics and pediatrics. Really old air fleets and really new fleets of aircraft, right? Old fleets, they find new ways to break, and they suffer from ever-shrinking supply bases. Our newer fleets have new methods of manufacturing and repair, and in many cases, ironically, they also suffer from inadequate sources of supply. For example, the KC-46, it's new to us, but the 767 airframe it's based on is sundowning in industry, right? Wow. So it's a new mission for us. We have to figure out how to maintain it within FAA standards, but we also have to go out and now look at the supply base to make sure we can sustain that mission for the next couple, 3 decades or however long the Air Force keeps it. Now, they've got different challenges, new fleets and old fleets, but there are some common challenges between them. One of them is they require a great deal of engineering support and a ton of technical expertise on the shop floor. And to meet those challenges, we get after it a variety of ways, from good ideas that are up-channeled by our industrial artisans to a robust engineering team to partnering with Oklahoma's universities and to reaching out to many of our partners like Air Force Research Laboratory, Oak Ridge National Laboratory, and others. So I'm looking forward in part 2 to unpacking this a little bit, because this acceleration of innovation is really exciting. As you know, the Chief of Staff of the Air Force has challenged all of us, and his mantra is accelerate change or lose. And we know for Americans in our national defense, losing is not a possibility, right? It's not something we can allow. So we are working at all of these challenges aggressively to increase readiness. And like I said, we'll unpack that a little bit more next time around.
I look forward to that. You have been the ALC commander for just over a year, and you came in during the coronavirus pandemic, and it's still here, as everybody knows. Can you talk about how COVID has impacted your workforce and their ability to perform the mission?
Yeah, you bet. Frankly, there's no other way to say it than to say COVID has been an incredible disruptor on our people and our supply chains and to some degree our operations. It's one of two major disruptors that I've experienced in my time in service, the first being 9/11. Just as the attacks on 9/11 forced us to rewire our security posture from our airports to our front gates, COVID has forced us to adapt our practices in the workplace, in the community, the way we think about health and safety as we go about doing our businesses. COVID has introduced certain inefficiencies. Now we have to accommodate for mask wear, social distancing, and frequent cleaning in the workplace. But I'd argue that those things have paid off amid the pandemic. In an organization of over 10,500 people, it's no surprise that our number of COVID-positive cases over the past 2 years has a comma in it, right? It's a pretty large number. Every illness really impacts production and more importantly impacts the team dynamics within our workforce, meaning it affects us personally on an individual level, a team level. There's a disruption to the efficiency and effectiveness of our process. On the upside, I'd say the protective measures we put into place, mask wear, cleaning, social distancing, have really helped keep our people healthy, at least while they're at work, right? You can count on one hand the number of contractions that were definitively determined through contact tracing to have occurred in the workplace over the last 2 years. Wow. So, large number of positives, number has a comma in it. You can count on one hand the number that was proven to be contracted on base. That tells you that our safety measures are helping us out here at work. What we can't quantify, however, I'd say is the mental strain on our people over time. We are most certainly wrestling with COVID fatigue in the organization and probably in the community at large. And, mandatory vaccinations for our uniformed civilian and contractor workforces have introduced some additional churn. But I'm confident we'll find our way through that as well. Americans are determined and resilient. That's who we are. That's all I can say. COVID has been a wicked problem. It's been a disruptor at the personal and professional level. But we're showing our resiliency. We're working through it.
Yes, together we will definitely get through it.
Yep. Between individual discipline, following the processes, and us, following the directions that are sent down on how we're supposed to operate, that'll help go a long way.
Yes. What accomplishments by your team are you most proud of over the last year and a half?
So the answer to this question really builds on the last. I'm most proud of our people and their ability to power through COVID. Despite the many challenges we've experienced, the complex has achieved some record-breaking production levels over the last 2 years. We've kept a laser focus on readiness, national defense, and most importantly, the warfighters who rely on our world-class maintenance. From individual discipline to excellence in production, safety and quality, to the innovative ideas that just bubble up from across the complex, the men and women of Oklahoma City Air Logistics Complex have really, really crushed it. It hasn't been easy, but we have kept our commitment up to the warfighter. They rely on our equipment, right? Their families are counting on us, bringing them home by producing quality products on time, and we've done a really good job at that. I'd say beyond the Maintenance Effectiveness Award, which is late-breaking news, a dozen of our people have earned individual higher headquarter level awards because of their innovations, despite some of the COVID-related challenges and others. And again, these accolades really just represent the million minor miracles performed by our people each and every day. And those miracles and efforts translate into operational success for our Air Force. That's what I'm most proud of. We do a great job every day, and we've just powered through COVID. And we'll find our way on the other side of this thing, hopefully sooner than later.
Yes. If you had to describe the men and women of the OC-ALC workforce in just one word, what would it be and why?
Wow, one word. That's really hard to do. In fact, I can't do it. Dedicated, disciplined, innovative, tenacious. I don't know. Those are just a few that quickly come to mind, really. Are we wrestling with some COVID-related disruptors right now? Yes, we are, without a doubt. But this isn't the first challenge that this depot has faced in our 80-year history. And it won't be the last. There'll be something else that comes along. We'll find our way through this current churn, and one thing I know is we won't take our eye off the mission. We won't hesitate, flinch, or blink even for a second. because everyone here knows that our nation's most precious resource, our sons and daughters, our warfighters, they're counting on us, right? And you when we get out and walk and talk on the floor, people know that. They know that there's someone on the other end counting on what we do. It's funny thing, I was thinking about this. In an interview a while back, the former Secretary of Defense Mattis was asked, "What keeps you up at night?" Do y'all remember this? His response was, "Nothing. I keep other people awake at night," right? And so when I think about our complex, I think, I know OC-ALC and the impact our people are having on readiness keeps our enemies up at night. I absolutely guarantee it, in fact. And for us, really, that's job one. This is an incredibly proud team of Americans. And is this answer a little bit Pollyannic? Yeah, kind of, right? Because I tend to see the best in us. And while it isn't always easy, we all are always focused on the mission. So, like I said, dedicated, disciplined, innovative, tenacious, proud Americans and Oklahomans getting the job done. It's a great team, and I'm proud to be among them.
Good. Do you have any parting thoughts for this portion of the podcast?
Yeah, I started with, I think I started the chat with the words of thanks, and I think I'd like to end the same way. It really is truly an honor to serve at this level and serve with the professionals in this complex. They amaze me every day, just every day, with their experience, determination, innovation, the way they look out for one another, and the way they're focused on the mission. To the men and women of the Oklahoma City Air Logistics Complex and our exceptional leadership team from our first lines up, thank you for all that you do for our nation. I'd also, like to say I'm extremely thankful for our partnerships with federal and state legislative teams, the local community, industry, academia, and so many others within the Air Force and DoD. They're absolutely vital to our success, and they're great teammates. Lastly, I'd like to give a big shout out to the 72nd Air Base Wing, 448 Supply Chain Management Wing, and DLA Aviation Tinker. And last but not least, AFGE Local 916. Their support for our mission and really our people is just first rate. It's awesome to be working with all of them. It truly takes a team of teams to support our warfighters and provide for our nation's defense. And I'd just like to close by saying, may God continue to bless our listeners and the United States of America. Thank you, April.
Thank you, sir, for taking time out of your schedule to sit down with us today. And I look forward to part 2 of this conversation. And thank you also to those of you who took time to listen to this podcast. We appreciate you very much. To keep up with everything going on at Tinker, follow us on social media at Tinker Air Force Base on Facebook and Instagram, and at team_Tinker on Twitter, or visit our website at tinker.af.mil. Thanks again for listening, and have a great day.